Spongebob Squarepants. What can you possibly say? Everyone's favorite nautical character is a touchstone of animation and popular culture as a whole, leading to the license grossing several bazillion dollars, featuring feature-length films, video games, toys, and of course, a bevy of memes with more being created every single day. Very few can claim it, but alongside properties like Pokemon and Mario, SpongeBob is one of the few licenses that truly crosses the generational gap. Both kids and adults alike absolutely love this show, and I'm no exception to that. It's hard to argue that the first 2 seasons of SpongeBob can possibly be topped by any other cartoon. So expanding into the world of video games was a natural fit. This led to a series of games, some good and some bad. The crown jewel of them all is undoubtedly SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. Originally released in 2003, Battle for Bikini Bottom was a true diamond in the rough for us fans of cartoons growing up. For those of you who don't remember, games based on animated series had a really poor track record when it came to quality. Rugrats, Jimmy Neutron, Fairly OddParents, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Avatar, and more all ended up with either average or subpar experiences, but Battle for Bikini Bottom was the exception. It featured quality graphics, catchy music, simple yet fun gameplay, and a healthy dose of the SpongeBob humor that we all loved. What made this game so awesome though was that it was basically just Super Mario 64 or Banjo-Kazooie, but with a SpongeBob coat of paint slapped on it. With a central hub and several sprawling areas filled to the brim with collectibles, Battle for Bikini Bottom was a legitimate great game back in 2003. But 17 years later, does the rehydrated version do the original version any justice? Let's find out. Let's get this out of the way early. If you don't like SpongeBob, which in that case, you're dead to me, or you didn't like the original version, this remake will not be the game for you. Rehydrated is practically tick for tat the exact same game as it was in 2003, warts and all, but with some extras included. What does the rehydrated version do differently than the original? Well, with the benefit of 17 years of progress, SpongeBob and Friends have never looked better. The vibrant color palette really shows off the great art style, making it pop, and the entire game in general is just really appealing to look at. The character models are, for the most part, really well done. SpongeBob in particular looks phenomenal, but other characters like Mermaid Man? Not so much. Ugh, what is this chick's deal? And the lip syncing sometimes looks off, but I doubt too many people are going to notice or care besides me. Sometimes there's also noticeable clipping and texture pop-ins, usually at the start of cutscenes. The designs of the enemies are fairly stock standard, very basic looking robots, but they do look like they would realistically fit in the SpongeBob universe. Except this thing, I don't know what that's all about. Another very nice touch with the graphics had to do with the facial animations. Characters have a wide range of facial expressions, and it looks hysterical. The environments are decently varied, and you won't be stuck in the same areas for too long. You'll quickly be whisked away to new areas before you get a chance to be bored of what you're looking at. Running around SpongeBob's home and the rest of Bikini Bottom is just awesome, and seeing it in true HD for the first time just makes this whole game feel like an interactive episode of the show, the same way that the South Park games have felt. All of the characters you know and love make appearances, but why not Doodlebob? This game looks exactly like the show we've all come to love, and there aren't too many big complaints to be had about the visuals of this game other than how simple they are. But again, we're dealing with a cartoon about a talking sponge, not Uncharted. Switching off to the audio, the bouncy and twangy sound effects of the show are here, ranging from the music to the sound effects. The music is enjoyable in small doses, but I quickly found myself turning down the volume because it seems to be on a very short loop, and I kind of found the music to be grating after a while, hearing the same notes over and over again. But again, that's a very subjective thing. However, what isn't a subjective critique is the quality of some voice acting, and honestly, my biggest issues with this game stem from the audio. SpongeBob, Plankton, Patrick, Sandy, they're all voiced by their appropriate actors, and they all do a pretty good job. But my goodness, the voice actors for Mr. Krabs, Mermaid Man, and Bubble Buddy? Yikes!
SpongeBob.
Yes, Mr. Krabs?
You're fired!
Money, money. Now listen here, boy.
Stop shouting and napping!
I think it had something to do with massaging my feet.
Do these replacements sound anything like Clancy Brown or Ernest Borgnine? I know Borgnine passed away and you can't do much with his voice now, but was Clancy Brown's asking price just too high? I mean, you were able to keep John O'Hurley as Neptune, but not them? Honestly, this was my biggest issue with the game when it came back in 2003, and I was hoping that 17 years later, maybe something else could have been done to improve it. But sadly, that's just not the case. Another issue is that there also seems to be missing audio in some sections. Which is kind of weird, but this game suffers from my biggest pet peeve of all: constantly repeated dialogue. Prepare to hear a lot of the same lines over and over again, and it just gets really annoying after a while. But if you wanted to switch it up, you have your choice of over 11 different languages, all with their own respective voice actors, and it's almost worth playing the entire game in another language to hear how insanely different the voices are.
There's definitely something funny going on here. And I don't mean you. Something else funny.
Irgendetwas Komisches geht hier vor sich. Und damit meine ich nicht dich. Was anderes Komisches.
Totally awesome. Like I said before, warts and all. And luckily, that includes the gameplay, which is this game's strong suit. Platforming games aren't the most common nowadays, but they started to make a comeback in recent years, and this was one of the better ones on the 6th console generation. Not as strong as Sly Cooper or Ratchet and Clank, but definitely up there for its genre. It has one of the easiest pick up and play mechanics of any game I've played in a long time, and will be fun for both kids and adults alike. There's a good variety of moves and abilities between the characters, and while platforming and combat are the most common thing you'll be doing in this game, there are some light bits of puzzle solving to break up the action. The frequent loading screens upon death in the most challenging parts of this game can be a bit of an annoyance. Something I really appreciated in this game, that's often lost in video games nowadays, is that exploration is encouraged and often rewarded, with fun side activities like bungee jumping and my personal favorite, dunk surfing. And while this game is pretty easy, I actually found myself dying a lot more than you would think for a kid's game, which shows that there actually is some challenge. Or maybe I'm just terrible. Either is possible. But what does this remake bring to the table that the original didn't have? Cut content, including never before seen levels and boss fights, but why is there still no Doodle Bob boss fight and a Horde mode multiplayer? More content is always a plus, and the multiplayer, while basic, is a fun time. Honestly, I would have been hyped if they would have just done a Mario Party ripoff, but with SpongeBob characters instead. The THQ, free idea for you. It's a popcorn-style game mode, and I honestly don't anticipate too many people playing it, but it should be noted that both local and online multiplayer options are included for you. My personal favorite thing about this game, though, is all of the nods to the past and all the subtle touches that they've added that only the most hardcore of SpongeBob fans would notice. Seeing SpongeBob or Patrick flailing their arms in fear while near enemies, characters doing a slew of funny idle animations when you leave your controller alone, paying homage to all the famous memes, seeing photos and references to past episodes of the series, Hans making an appearance when you cross the boundaries of the map or fall from too great a height, seeing SpongeBob slice into cubes upon death. It all just gives you that warm, fuzzy nostalgia feeling, because honestly, this game really is just a big love letter to the fans. One thing I would have really loved to see, though, would have been the option for unlockable costumes. Every playable character in this game has donned several iconic and hilarious outfits during the show's tenure, and I feel like not having any costume unlocks is a big missed opportunity. And while not all of the jokes hit,
You know, SpongeBob butt pants.
and the game is not as funny as peak SpongeBob episodes,
Spiders! 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 Get them off me!
you will undeniably find yourself smiling like a fool from time to time. This may sound like dumb props to be giving, but there's something to be said for playing a game that's just innocent and fun-spirited. I'm fresh off of playing Ultra Nightmare difficulty on Doom Eternal and The Last of Us 2, so playing a game that's just fun and lighthearted is a break I didn't even know that I needed. And for $30, it's definitely worth the price of admission. This isn't the greatest game of all time, but it is a great reminder of a past era and a solid change of pace single-player experience for you to play. You can tell this game was created with a real love for the source material. If you've got $30 kicking around, and you remember playing this game as a kid, or you now find yourself as an adult with kids of your own and they love SpongeBob, do yourself a favor and give this game a run. Thank you guys so much for watching, and props to THQ for making such a quality product and bringing back this cult classic. What do you guys think is the next game that should get the remaster treatment? I'm thinking any of these games down here. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below, and what would you like to see me discuss and review next? Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.